mutation, maybe some of in some of cells the mutated X is inactivated, so it doesn't have any phenotype. The phenotype will be a little bit different from autosomal, because in autosomal chromosome both genes are expressed. Okay, but in X chromosome in females, one X chromosome is inactivated, so it depends on the which X chromosome is inactivated, mutated chromosome or normal chromosome. So the phenotype will be a little bit different. But in males, no. In males, we have just one X chromosome. This one X chromosome is either mutated or normal. So usually in males, about the X chromosome, we call them as hemizygotes, because just one actually X chromosome exists. For female, as we said, two chromosome, either hetero or homo, normal, homo, mutated. What I was talking about, you can see in this slide. This is the zygote, okay? One paternal chromosome, P, and one maternal chromosome, M, okay? Then this cell is divided, okay? Both X chromosome are active in this level also, okay? Both paternal and maternal is active, but when X inactivation happens, okay, in some cells, maybe the maternal chromosome X is inactivated and the paternal chromosome is active. Okay? In another cell, maternal chromosome is active, the paternal chromosome is inactivated. In this cell also the same. Maternal chromosome is active, it means it produces the protein, it expresses the genes, but the paternal chromosome is inactivated. In another cell, paternal is active, maternal is inactive. Then they divide it again, and after this step, all cells that actually all cells that comes from these cells, they will have active paternal or active maternal, same as this one, active maternal and active paternal. So then in the tissues, we have a mixture of these cells. Some cells, paternal X is active, some cells, maternal X is active, okay? And maybe if the mutated gene is located on chromosome X of mother, and this X chromosome is inactivated, so we will not have any phenotype. But if the gene is located on paternal X, and the paternal X is inactivated, we will not have the phenotype. So a mixture of cells maybe will causes a different phenotype, or a mixture of the phenotype. For X-linked also we have two kind of the recessive and dominant inheritances. X-linked dominant pattern of inheritance usually are distinguished on the basis of the phenotype in female heterozygote. Okay, if heterozygote female have the genotype, have the phenotype, okay, this is X-linked dominant. So in males, X genes or genes that are located on chromosome X, you cannot use the term of dominant or recessive for them, because they have just one X chromosome. Okay, but in females, if in heterozygote situation, they will have the phenotype, we call them as X-linked dominant. If in homozygote situation, they will have phenotype, we call them as X-linked recessive. Okay, and also the problem for X chromosome in females is the pattern of random X inactivation. As I explained for you, maybe within same families, okay, in one individual mutated X is inactivated, so they will not have the phenotype. In some other individual in the family, normal X is inactivated, then they will have the phenotype. So, and in some individual, maybe in one part of the cells mutated X is active, in some other part of the tissue, normal actually X is inactivated, so they will have a mixture of the mutated and normal phenotype. It depends on the proportion of the cells in a tissue that have mutant allele, okay, on the active versus inactive chromosomes. So in females, the term of dominance and recessive is not absolute for X-linked because of the mixture of the cells and the phenotype. About 40% of X-linked disorders can be classified as recessive, X-linked recessive. They have little or no penetrance in female heterozygote. About 30% as a dominant because they are penetrant in mass females, heterozygote, and the remaining 30% are present in some, but not all females. So they cannot be classified as dominant or recessive. X-linked recessive inheritance usually expressed in males, okay, who receive mutated, but you will not have the phenotype in heterozygote female, only in homozygote female. So the disease is restricted in males, but very, very rare maybe in females. One example of X-linked recessive is hemophilia A classic X-linked actually recessive, in which the blood is failed to clot because of the deficiency of factor 8. This is an example pedigree for X-linked recessive. You can see affected males only, okay, carrier females, okay, and we do not have any affected female in the pedigree. The females are carrier. The marriage between affected males and normal females in X-linked recessive, usually we have, if we have affected male and normal female, they will have all daughters will be carrier because affected male has one mutated X and he transmits this X chromosome to all of his daughters. So all daughters will be carrier, and they will not have any affected son because usually father do not transmit the X chromosome to his son. So all sons are unaffected. Normal male married with carrier female, normal male, daughters 50% normal, 50% carrier, son 50% normal, 50% affected. Affected males married with carrier female, so daughters 1 out of 2 will be carrier, and 1 out of 2 will be affected, and sons 50% normal, 50% affected. This is also an example of consanguinity marriage in homozygote affected females. So we have affected females here because of the consanguinity marriage between blood relatives. Carrier females, affected males, we have affected female in X-linked recessive. There are some characteristics also for X-linked recessive inheritance. Usually the incidence is higher in males, or we can say only males will be affected even. Usually heterozygote females are unaffected, but maybe they will have the phenotype in some degrees because of what? X inactivation. Okay, it means normal X. Okay, normal X is inactivated. Okay, the actually mutated X is not inactivated, is active, but they cannot produce the protein, they cannot express the gene. So in some degrees, maybe they have the females, they will have some symptoms. Usually the disease transmitted from affected man to all of his daughters, and any of his daughter's sons also have 50% chance of inheriting the disease. Mutant allele is never transmitted from father to son. You will not have male to male transmission directly, but maybe from male to his daughters, and from daughters to her son. So, but not directly from father to son. Maybe transmitted through a series of carrier females. Carrier female, carrier female, carrier female, then affected males. Usually a significant proportion of isolated case that can happen because of new mutation. Another pattern is X-linked dominant, can easily be distinguished from autosomal dominant by male to male transmission. In X-linked dominant, you will not have male to male transmission, but in autosomal dominant, we will have male to male transmission. All daughters and none of the sons of affected males are affected. If we have affected father, all of his daughters will be affected, but none of his sons will be affected. The pattern of inheritance through females is same as autosomal dominant pattern. Okay. Each child of an affected female has a 50% chance of being affected, and the expression in females is milder because of the X inactivation. Maybe in some part of the tissues, mutated allele is inactivated. Okay. Most X-linked dominant disorders are incomplete dominance. The marriage between affected males with normal female, as we say, they will not have affected son, and they will not have also no normal daughters. Both males and females of a carrier female have a 50% chance of being affected. And the pedigree pattern is similar as autosomal dominant, as we say, and females are about twice as common as affected males, and also affected females. Usually they have milder symptoms because of X inactivation. One example of autosomal X-linked dominant inheritance is hypophosphatemic rickets. In this pedigree you can see. At the beginning maybe you assume that this is an autosomal dominant because it has all characteristics of autosomal dominant pattern of inheritance except of one. Which one? Male to male transmission. We have vertical transmission, okay? We have both sexes are affected almost equally, okay? But we do not have male to male transmission. This affected male doesn't have any affected son, and this affected male also doesn't have any affected sons. So we do not have male to male transmission, so we can say this is not autosomal dominant, this is X-linked dominant. There are also another X-linked condition like color blindness, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, hemophilia, fragile discs, mental retardation, spinal muscular atrophy, and retinitis pigmentosa, and many other.
We have to know about this?
No. Disorders. So when you draw a pedigree, you want to identify the pattern of inheritance in this pedigree. First thing that you need to determine is whether the disease is autosomal or X-linked, okay, or sex-linked. If most of affected in the pedigree are males, we say this is a autosomal disorder, okay. But if most affected are males, the disease is sex-linked. But if both sexes are almost equally affected, we say this is a autosomal disorder, not sex-linked. And the second step is about this pedigree. Do you think this is autosomal or sex-linked? Both sexes are almost equally affected. Okay? Right? So this is autosomal disorder. And the next step is to determine whether the disease is dominant or recessive. Okay? If normal parents have affected children, we say this is autosomal recessive. If each affected has affected parents, we say this one is autosomal dominant. What about this pedigree? This is autosomal dominant or recessive? Dominant. Because each affected individual has one affected parent. What about this one? Recessive. Autosomal recessive. Because both sexes are affected. Some affected individual has normal actually parents. What about this part of the pedigree? Affected individual has affected father. So do you think this is autosomal or recessive? This is autosomal. Recessive. Okay? But this part of the pedigree, okay, has a characteristic of autosomal dominant. Affected individual, okay, has affected parent.
But the mother can be a carrier because she has a sister who has the disease.
She has
The mother, yeah, 2, 3 is a carrier.
a carrier.
Yes, so it can be autosomal recessive.
We don't have genotype. We are just talking based on the pedigree. Okay? Based on the pedigree. Can we say in this part of the pedigree, okay, this family, and this part of the pedigree, okay, the disease is autosomal recessive, right? Right? Because both parents are healthy. But in this part of the pedigree, the disease is autosomal dominant. Can we say or not?
No, we judge the whole pedigree, not parts.
If we take that separate, what
Can we separate
No,
families
we
or
can
not?
separate. We can separate in the same disease.
Any other idea?
because the parents have right?
What about the genetic heterogeneity? When we talk about the genetic heterogeneity, go ahead. Okay. When we talk about the genetic heterogeneity, we say we have a term of genetic heterogeneity. You know what is genetic heterogeneity? Different genotypes or different mutation causes the same phenotype. There are some disorders that they are inherited as autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, or X-linked. The phenotype is the same, but the pattern of inheritance is different. Okay? Can we use this term in this family? Why not? Can we say this is a genetic heterogeneity? Because we have genetic heterogeneity. For example, we have retinitis pigmentosa. Okay? In some families, it's inherited as autosomal recessive.
But we don't have the genotype.
We have, based on the genotype. Okay? Based on the genotype, we have autosomal recessive, we have autosomal dominant, we have X-linked, retinitis pigmentosa. Okay? The phenotype is the same, but the pattern of inheritance is different. Okay? This is the term of the genetic heterogeneity. Different mutation, different genotype causes the same phenotype. Can we use the term of genetic heterogeneity? My question is this. Can we use the term of genetic heterogeneity in this family? We say this part of the family, the disease is autosomal recessive, in this part is autosomal recessive, but in this family is autosomal dominant. It's a tricky question.
No, because we are studying the same allele.
Can? We can? We don't. So we can't. We can, and you? We don't. You say no. No means you don't know, or no means you cannot. Which one?
I have
No idea.
Is it what it's
We can. You don't.
possible? It's
You.
possible.
It's possible. So only you say it's not possible, right? You don't want to change your mind? Sure?
Yes.
We have the term of genetic heterogeneity. It means different genotype causes the same phenotype.
Yeah.
Some disorders are, we have, as I said, and they can inherit it as autosomal recessive, autosomal dominant, and X-linked. The phenotype is the same. But this genetic heterogeneity is not within the same family. Okay? In one family, we have just one pattern of inheritance, either recessive or dominant. But in different families, maybe we have different pattern of inheritance. In one family is autosomal recessive, another family is autosomal dominant, another family is autosomal X-linked. but within the one family, we just have one mutation, one pattern of inheritance, one genotype. Okay, so in this case, we can say the disease is autosomal recessive, and the reason of this individual is a carrier, maybe because of the high carrier frequency in that population. Okay, maybe the frequency of mutation is high in this family.
Since she has a diseased sister, affected sister, that means the allele is present.
As you said, 2 out of 3, there is a chance of 2 out of 3 to be a carrier. Okay?
So the answer for this is
The answer is no. We cannot say this part of the pedigree is recessive, this part is recessive, this part is dominant. The pattern of inheritance in this family is autosomal recessive. Any question?
we're still confused before this slide.
For this slide, my question was, what is the pattern of inheritance in this pedigree? You said autosomal recessive, right? Right?
Yes.
Why autosomal recessive? Because normal parents have affected children, right?
Yes.
This is the characteristic for autosomal recessive. I made a tricky question and I said, okay, this part of the pedigree is autosomal recessive because normal parent has affected child.
Yes.
This part of the pedigree is autosomal recessive because normal parents have affected children. Okay. What about this part of the pedigree?
It's dominant.
Is dominant. Can we say this part of the pedigree is dominant? Everybody say
Yes.
yes, or some would say we don't know. The answer is no. We cannot say this part of the pedigree is autosomal dominant because in single family, okay, in single pedigree we have just one pattern of inheritances.
Because it's relying on the origin, for the family.
Yeah,
That's why
we can
call
say
it-
if maybe we have same disease in another family, the pattern of inheritance is on that family is autosomal dominant. But in this family, for all parts of the family, the pattern of inheritance is the same. We cannot separate this from this and this.
So it can't be considered.
You can't say this part is autosomal dominant, this part is recessive. All of them are
All
autosomal
of them are.
recessive. Okay, any question?
This is the end of the lecture. Lecture finished.
Yes.